mountain, you see the mountain move. And as I walk through the shadows, your love surrounds me. There's nothing to fear now, for I am safe with you. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And if you are for me, who can be against me? For Jesus, there's nothing impossible for you. When all I see are the ashes, you see the beauty. When all I see is the cross, God, you see the empty tomb. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine with the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. Yeah. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. When I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Oh God, the battle belongs to you.
My name is Pastor John Cupits. I'm the Associate Minister to Youth and Families. And this is
And I'm Karen Lentz. I am the Women's Ministries Coordinator.
we have a bunch of announcements this morning. It's like things are ramping up after the summer. If you are here for the first time today, we would love to get to know you more and have you get to know us. There is a welcome form in the bulletin. You can turn that in at the welcome window outside, out in the lobby, and we'll have somebody there who can give you a gift in exchange for that form. And yeah, we're glad you're here today. Thank you for being a part of worship today.
And do I understand there's chocolate involved?
I think so. I haven't
Okay.
really
Well,
in a while, but I think there is.
very important. Okay. There are attendance clipboards, and am I supposed to announce about the youth sign up, or is that you? Oh, sorry. I stole your thunder. Okay. So the small clipboards go across as usual. We'd like to know if you are here today, and I don't know what else I was going to say. Okay. Okay.
September 5th, which is next Sunday, we are having a joint worship service with Casa de Oración. I've been practicing my pronunciation of the church's name. They're our Spanish-speaking church that has been meeting here for over a year in the afternoons on Sundays. And next week they're going to join us. So we're going to not have our 9:30 equipping you classes, and we are just going to come together. If you want coffee and donuts, come at 10. And if you just want to come for the service, 10:30 is when we'll be starting that. Also, we have potluck afterwards, so if you intend to stick around for that, please bring the appropriate dish according to the last name, first letter of your last name. That's up on the slide there. It also says in bright bold red, don't bring serving utensils. Oven space is also limited, but power strips will be available if you have a crock pot. So keep that in mind as you consider what to bring this week.
Okay, and this is why I am here. There are a number of women's ministries, things going on, starting up almost here. This Tuesday night at 6:30 at Candy Sonnerholm's house, the Tuesday night Bible studies ladies have been meeting about once a month this summer, and so this will be our last summertime before we actually begin Bible study in September. So that's at 6:30 at Candy Sonnerholm's. Thursday night Bible study is going to start at 9 a.m. on the 9th. So that's what, 2 weeks? Week and a half? Yep. Coming up soon. Brunch and childcare are offered for that, and it is in the Mount Shasta room. Also, the women's retreat is coming up, which will be November 5th through the 7th, but there's a planning meeting. I guess I should start planning for it. Yeah, no, I have started planning for it. On Saturday, the 11th, and it will be in the Mount Shasta room, in the church library. So if you are interested in coming, let me know as well, or just show up. We will enjoy talking, and I have a lot of wonderful ladies that have great ideas, and so we'll all get on the same page with that.
Okay, awesome. We also have coming up our Operation Christmas Child project that we're going to be doing. We are looking to fill 300 shoe boxes to send through Samaritan's Purse to places around the world. The last time we did this, a bunch of our shoe boxes ended up in the Philippines. It could go anywhere. We don't. Samaritan's Purse has got it covered. They're living in poverty-stricken areas, and this is a way that we can bless them and show them the love of Christ. So we are filling these shoe boxes. We need donations to fill these. We have the funds that we need, which is awesome. What we don't have is all the things to stuff those boxes with. So scissors, pencils, crayons, erasers. If you have questions about what we need, what we can take, what we can't take, go see Sarah Banfield over here. She's raising her hand. She will be coordinating this whole thing this year, along with me and Tori Lancaster. We're going to be working with her, and we're hoping to make this a really cool opportunity for our church this year. Also, this is the other clipboards that Karen mentioned. These big ones in the front that have a yellow piece of paper on them are for youth meal sign-ups. Starting in 2 weeks on September 12th, we will be going back to our regularly scheduled youth group. We do all this wacky, fun stuff in the summer. We'll go back to our normal stuff in the fall. And that's just started 2 weeks. So if you are willing and able to make a meal for us, you might have some questions about it. Some of those questions will be answered on that yellow sheet that's being passed around. And if you know that you're available and able to make us a meal, we would really, really love it. If you sign up, it's not a... It's not, yeah. John will be there. He's going to eat your food, so it'll be good. It doesn't have to look like the screen. That's kind of a regular screen there. But if you want to do that, we'll love it. But basically, the number of students has been somewhere around 15 to 20. So 15 is an average number. So that's about how many we'd be looking to get for. Also, if you are in a branch group, many times we have our small groups as a small group make a meal. And so that's another option for you. And that's it for our announcements.
I would like to say that our small group has done this for a number of years. This last one we did at the end of the 70-hour famine or 30-hour. Well, anyway, if you wanted to feel really how great a cook you are, do it at the end of a famine because there was nothing left. Nothing left. So, okay. All right, so now I believe we are going to do our meet and greet. So go make a new friend or go make an old friend or make a friend.
That was a lot of announcements.
Thank you.
That was a lot of announcements. Darkness into your glorious day. called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. My sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. Was in shelter, I was an orphan, but you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day.
All right. Now I need your help on this next one because I can't clap and play the guitar at the same time. I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise, treasures the faith never enough. You came along and you put me back together. Every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you see them all, and you still call me friend. As the God of the mountain, is the God of the valley. There's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who Nothing is better than you. Lord, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. All right, would you take a seat, please? At this time, we're going to
Ashes of defeat, the resurrected King, He's resurrected me. By your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King, He's resurrected me. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrected me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrected me. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrected. To declare your victory, the resurrected King is resurrected. Soldiers watching was powerful.
You know, you just pooh. They just keep telling you how great they are. Arrogant, it's being full of air. It's an internal being puffed up. All they're doing it is just for people to think good of themselves and for them to think good of themselves. Now, I am not saying, and I do not think Paul is saying, that when you give the gifts as God has called you to give those gifts, that there won't be a sense of joy and satisfaction. But that's not the point. That's not the focus. The focus is on whom I'm giving them to. Yes, when you are giving a Christmas gift to someone you love, the focus is on them. You're not doing it. I hope you're not doing it, so I just want to feel good about myself. Look at what I gave to them. That, my friends, is boasting and arrogance. Or is not rude. I like a better translation. I think the Greek word here is dishonoring. It's not dishonoring someone. Paul's actually used this word a few chapters earlier in chapter 7, right? And he was saying about how he encourages those who are single to stay single. But then he goes on to say, but men, if you're engaged, fiancés, if you're engaged and you feel like you would be dishonoring your fiancée and not marrying her, jilting her, leaving her at the altar alone and despondent, then by all means marry her. Do the honorable thing. Keep your word. I have seen time and time again how people use gifts in such a way as to humiliate others. Friends, that should not be. That is not what godly love is. Take a look at some of the other negative character traits. It does not insist on its own way. I've seen this a lot. People who have a particular gift think their gift needs to be the body of Christ gift. Only this gift is what's valuable. This is what the church needs. Yes, this is what a church needs, but it's not all that a church needs. It's that we come together, we work together, we bring our gifts and submit them to one another. As a result, God's way is done, not ours. It's not irritable. You get irate when things happen. It's not resentful. Does not keep a record of wrong. It doesn't kitchen sink people. You know what I'm talking about. Get into an argument or something like that, and all of a sudden stuff from years back. Well, you remember when you didn't fix that kitchen sink and we ruined it? No. It does not keep track of those kinds of things. It's not resentful. It does not rejoice over wrongdoing. I'm trying to think, how does that happen in the church? I think it happens when we gripe and when we gossip. Using those speaking gifts in ways that God never intended them to be used. Friends, that's not what godly love is. What is godly love? Look at the positives. Love is patient. We recognize God is not finished with people yet. That they have limitations. They cannot be all that we would like them to be. And that we are willing to wait on God to work in their life. Love is kind. Pull up the definition of kindness that I've come to after studying the fruits of the Spirit. Kindness is responding to sin. Don't use your spiritual gifts in such a way that you're unwilling to forgive others. One of the things that I've seen in the church is I'm not going to serve because I was hurt, I was wronged. Paul says, godly love is kind, responding to sin with blessing. Go back to that definition. Go with blessing to promote a godly relationship because of love. It says, I am committed to forgiving and continue to demonstrate the gifts that God has because I am giving them to you. The love that I have means my spiritual gifts that I am giving to you, they have no strings in them. They are unconditional. And that kind of reminds me of someone else's unconditional love towards me. I hope you encounter His unconditional love for you through the gift that I am wanting to use to you. They're kind. Now go back to that slide. It rejoices with the truth. Here, in light of the context, I think Paul is saying when people ask for forgiveness, or when they say, I forgive you, there is a rejoicing, there's a joy. That is gone. I can't even remember if I ever had a kitchen sink. Love bears all things. It says, I am willing to go through all the trials that, you know what, in American life, we just want life to be comfortable. And I think that that's one of the reasons why God has, in some ways, blessed us, if I can use that word, with a pandemic that lasts seemingly forever. You know, we want to just kind of parachute in and parachute out kind of an idea when people are going through trials. But those with spiritual gifts that have a godly love says, as long as the need is there in your life, I will be there. I am willing to bear all things, believes all things, and hopes all things. I put it under the kind of the caption of give the benefit of the doubt, except here I will say, instead of benefit of the doubt, the benefit of God. Paul is not talking about believing all things in the sense that you're gullible, that whatever another person says is, you can take it to the bank. No, I think what Paul is saying here is I believe everything that God says and promises about you, that He is not done working in your life. That even when you go wrong, His forgiveness is there when you confess. Hopes all things. He will finish His work. Endures all things. Even if you hurt me. Even if you wrong me. You can count that I will continue to give you the gifts that God has given to me through His Holy Spirit. Friends, that's what godly love looks like. And I suspect that Paul picked out these character qualities or character traits because that's exactly what was not happening in Corinth. And my observation from what I've heard and seen is that's often not the kind of love that I see even in many local churches today. You see, God calls us to give spiritual gifts without strings because God has given them to us, and that is what a Christian does. So why does God give spiritual gifts? It's the third section that has this truth. Spiritual gifts, I think, based on Paul's words here, are designed to be a Christian's interim or temporary expressions of unending love. The reason why God has given spiritual gifts is so that we can all together learn how to love one another by giving spiritual gifts in the way God gives spiritual gifts. It's temporary. It's not always going to be this way. It's not always going to be needed. But God has actually designed life in such a way that we need all 20 of those gifts working and operative in a local church because it gives us the opportunity to practice God's kind of way of loving. Take a look at verses 8 through 11. Love never ends. Prophecies, they will pass away. Tongues, they will no longer be necessary. They'll stop. As for knowledge, it too will pass away, for we know in part and we prophesy in part. God's Spirit is still working because we are in a season of incompleteness. But when the perfect comes, here as I was studying this passage, I am thinking that the word perfect here is not the best translation of this word. It is a possible translation of this word in the Greek. But Paul, when he uses this word, only one other time does it get translated as perfect. All the other times it gets translated as mature. But when maturity happens, when we recognize that God has given spiritual gifts less for the accomplishment of ministry and more for us the opportunity to learn how to love as God loves, spiritual gifts become needed less and less. When the maturity comes, the partial will pass away. That's why I think he goes on to talk about an illustration of children and adulthood. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, thought like a child, and reasoned like a child. And he's basically saying, Corinthians, your approach to spiritual gifts is childish. You think Christmas is all about you. It's not. It's all about others. Because that's why Christ came, right? I reasoned like a child, but when I became a man, I gave up childish ways. I love the internet. It's helped preaching so much. I Googled, what are some gifts kids have given to their parents? Here is one. A mom told her son she wanted mozzarella sticks. So the little boy went and got mozzarella bag and sticks from the tree and put it on a plate in the house. Right? That's a childish way of thinking. I like this gift a kid gave his mom when he was 8. Look how pretty you are, and there's a aluminum foil. You know, it didn't give there is an honest there, isn't there? And there should be. Right? There is love that is true and genuine. In fact, from what I understand, this man ended up finding this gift that his mom kept from when he was age 8. But the gift itself is not really good, right? We're all clear on that? I hope he grew and learned how to give better gifts, but boy, the heart was there. He is learning. And what Paul says, that as I've grown in my faith and my understanding, God gives us these gifts so that we are able to focus on one another. And we give because God has called us to give. So that has all impacted my understanding and has changed my approach to understanding what Paul is talking about in verses 12 and 13. And I told people in my Equipping You class, I'm going out on a limb here because I have not seen any other commentator talk about this. But I think I'm grasping more and more of what Paul is trying to say here. Take a look at verses 12 and 13. So remember that kind of mirror that kid gave? For now we see in a mirror dimly. I was always picturing this as my looking at Jesus. But it's a mirror. I never really quite understood how, I'm looking, when you look at a mirror, you look at myself, right? But notice he says, we all see through a mirror dimly. We're all standing next to one another. We're looking at this mirror, and we have not yet seen, here's what I think is going on. We have not seen God's completed work in one another's life yet. The people we're looking at is not Jesus, although that is true. The people we're looking at is one another. And just like that mom saw that gift of that mirror, that very crude mirror, but in it the essence of love, she cherished it and treasured that. And what Paul says is essentially that needs to grow to where you actually give better qualities of mirror. We see through a mirror dimly, but someday we will see face to face. I think the picture there is when Christ returns, when Christ completes his work in us, now we see, that's what they were intending to look like. And I got to play a role in it because I gave my spiritual gifts to them. Then I shall